Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. Yesterday we got the launch trailer for The Giant, which is the Riese remake in Call of Duty Black Ops 3's Zombies mode. Before that, we'd had the Giant's intro cutscene, which gave us an idea of how the story was going to shape up on the map itself. And then alongside that, we'd also had one other shot in-game of Richtofen and Nikolai standing around on the map. It was like 3 seconds of footage. Now, we have a new promotional image, which is on the screen right now. Gotta give a shout out to my man Chipmunk Sinner for showing me this. There's a fair bit to talk about here. You've got the general map, you've got the background, you've got the buildings, you've got the mainframe. I'm going to be talking about the very specific background thing that you can see floating up there right at the end, so stay tuned for that. It's going to be worth the wait. First of all, let's talk about the other stuff. The map itself is actually visible in this image. In the trailer, we've seen snippets of the map here and there, and you can match areas of the map that you recognize from Riese to areas that you see in the trailer in The Giant, but this gives us a nice overview, even though it's somewhat an artistic impression, of what the map itself is going to look like overall. We actually have a bit of a clash of the elements here. For example, you've got the electricity running through all these wires going from the mainframe to the teleporters and the pack-a-punch itself. You have that contrasted with the fire from inside that building you can see on the left side of the screen, and we know that there are other buildings on the map that are burning as well. We don't know the reason for that, but we know that they are in flames. And then you also, on top of those two things, have the ice and the snow from the snow itself and the fact that it's a damn chilly day in Germany, apparently. It's probably a bit too early to say whether Treyarch are planning to continue this theme of sort of elements clashing together throughout the map itself. There might be more integration of those ideas into the gameplay, or there may not be, we don't know. But one thing we do know is that the background of this image is extremely interesting, because it's different to what we're used to seeing on Riese. Some of you guys might not be so familiar with what Riese actually looks like, or specifically what it looks like behind the mainframe, so I went to the trouble of actually getting you some gameplay. I no-clipped up into the air and lined my shot up to be roughly what we can see in this promotional image. It wasn't actually that much trouble. No-clipping in World at War is very easy, but this is what Riese looks like. This is the original map in Call of Duty World at War. This isn't the remastered version in Black Ops 1, mind you, so there are some changes, some slight changes. Obviously, it was remade somewhat for Black Ops 1, but in this particular game, which is World at War, you can see various things on this side of the wall. You've got that Teddy Easter egg down there, you've got the fire, or rather the smoke, but no actual fire itself. You've also got the fly trap as well. For those of you that don't know, the fly trap is essentially the start of the quest line, or the Easter egg on Riese. It's not a massive Easter egg like we're familiar with in Black Ops 2, by any means, but the fly trap was essentially the origin of all the Easter egg quests that we know and love today. So, that was World at War. This is Black Ops 1. Yep, we're no-clipping on Black Ops 1 now, and as you can see, it's pretty damn similar to how it looked on World at War. There aren't a huge number of changes, so for all intents and purposes, we can go by that World at War standard and say that in the promotional image, and also in the trailer, which I'm going to have on the screen in a moment, the background behind the mainframe is a lot more busy. It's not just a draw distance thing, there's actually more going on seemingly. The wall itself that's directly behind the mainframe doesn't look like it's finished being built yet, and then behind that, it looks like there are maybe some cranes or something along those lines. If we take a look at a shot from the trailer now, you'll see what I mean. There's clearly some kind of building work going on back there, and I'm hoping that in Black Ops 3, there's going to be a lot more potential for Treyarch to say, okay, in the past, we would have just cut this off and obscured it from view because we didn't have the processing power to really put anything back there. But now that we're on next gen, or current gen now, I suppose, now that we have this extra power behind us, we can go the extra distance and really build maps that have a living and breathing world around them. That's something that I really would love to see happen, and it looks like this might be the beginnings of that with The Giant. At the start of the video, I mentioned that there was something very cool I was saving until the end, and we're going to launch into that now. It's possible, and by no means is it concrete, I'm not saying that, I want to make that very clear, but it's possible that if you take a look at that promotional image, let's zoom in a little bit, despite the fact that it's going to be pixelated, let's zoom regardless, it's possible to say that that metal structure in the background, seemingly suspended by that crane, resembles the robot's head from Origins. In terms of timeline, the end of the Riese radio where Samantha and Maxis get teleported away from the facility happens around about October 1945. Just after they're teleported away, the cast from Origins, which for now we'll assume to be a separate universe, teleport into this universe via the Origins ending, and the events of the Giant take place. If that wasn't to be the case, then the events of the regular Riese would take place a matter of days or maybe up to a month later on. My current issue with the idea of this being a giant robot's head is the fact that in Riese, when we play on Riese in, let's say November 1945, there are no giant robot heads back there. There's nothing at all. I've shown you guys in this video that it's pretty much empty space behind that wall. That said, it's not instantaneous. The time between the Giant and Riese is potentially about a month, and so in that time, it's certainly possible that those structures could be dismantled at the back there and they could then be taken away, and then when we play Riese, the Giant's head wouldn't be there, and so we wouldn't see it, which is what we expect, because we don't see it when we play the map. But then that poses the question, why is the wall unfinished for the Giant, but then finished for Riese? And the wall I'm talking about is the one directly behind the mainframe, so it's basically attached to the back of the Pack-a-Punch machine. It's also possible that that second concrete wall, so you've got the scaffold, and then you've got the intermediary space between, and then that second wall could also be hiding the Giant's head from us. There's smoke that's billowing out from behind that wall. Maybe that's meant to be signifying where that Giant's head is being stored or secured or lifted or whatever it's doing in the air attached to that piece of weird scaffolding. Another option, of course, is that this is all a massive reach. It's not actually a Giant's head, it's just a large ball of metal that decided to get hoisted into the sky by the Nazis when they were losing the war, and they thought, hey, you know what, let's just lift this metal up because that's going to help our war effort. That's an option as well, but I'd quite like it to be a Giant's head, and I think that it certainly resembles one with that protrusion on the top from which the turrets would come out, and the visor and kind of chin part of it as well. Ultimately, if it is a Giant's head, then holy moly, this is such a change from the Riese that we know and love, and I love this change. That's awesome, and definitely something that I want to explore in more detail on November 6th. Anyhow, this is just one promotional image, and I've already talked about it a fair bit, so now it's your chance to talk about it. In the comments section down below, tell me your thoughts and speculate a little bit about what exactly it is that we are seeing in the background, and also while you're at it, like the video please, because I like the color green, and if you click the like button, it will go green. It won't, it will go blue, but just pretend it will go green for the purposes of this argument. I've been MrRoflWaffles, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, then leave a like. If you haven't, let me know why in the comment section down below, and as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.